It's time to open the champagne! Finally, some good news! Berlin's new airport is due to open this year. Probably. This is the new Berlin-Brandenburg airport, which is to replace two existing and very small airports and finally bring Germany's capital into the 21st century. Construction began in 2006. And it was supposed to open in 2011, but there were a few problems and construction wasn't complete until 2012. And then, days before the airport was due to open, it failed a fire safety inspection. And it was while trying to fix that workers uncovered a whole lot of other problems. Basically, they were removing wall panels and going, "What the?" This is what happens when politicians interfere in the design of an airport. They wanted and demanded something bold, something to make us go, wow! What they forgot was that the rest of us would really prefer to have an airport that just works. In short, it has taken longer to fix the airport than it did to build it in the first place. But it's now passed all its safety inspections, and if nothing else goes wrong, it can open on the 31st of October this year. Now what they need to do is to get lots of volunteers to pretend to be passengers and put the airport through its paces before it officially opens. And it'll be interesting to see how they do that if we're still having to socially distance. This is actually the 7th airport that Berlin has had in its time. It's a long history that goes back all the way to 1909, when an airfield was opened in Johannisthal, which at the time was a few kilometers outside of Berlin. 6 years later, Starken Airfield was opened originally for airships, but airplanes proved to be more successful, and in 1923, Berlin got its first proper airport on a former military parade ground in Tempelhof. And by the way, this is the airport that became famous in the Berlin airlift. Gatow Airfield was opened in 1935 by Hitler himself, originally as a military airfield. After the war, it was used by British forces and occasionally also for civilian purposes. The division of Berlin and the rise of air travel in general meant that new airports were needed. Schönefeld, serving East Berlin, was opened in 1946 and Tegel for West Berlin in 1948. Neither airport ended up quite as big as they were designed to get. With Schönefeld Airport now open, Johannisthal Airfield was no longer needed and eventually shut down in 1952, followed a year later by Starken. Gatow closed in 1994 and Tempelhof as recently as 2008, leaving only Tegel and Schönefeld struggling to meet increased demand. Well, the idea was simple. Build a new airport to replace both of them. It was decided to build it next to the existing Schönefeld Airport and it would be called Berlin-Brandenburg. It was actually quite clever. Schönefeld had two runways. The north runway had to be closed to make way for a new autobahn, but the south runway could be used as the new airport's north runway. And it's a big new airport with room to expand. Initially, 2 terminals will be opened, but Schönefeld won't be closed immediately. It will stay open as Terminal 5. Terminal 5? Yes, because it's a temporary measure until Terminals 3 and 4 are finished. Once that's done, the old Schönefeld Airport buildings can finally close for good. So we can now all look forward to Berlin's shiny new airport. Just hope there isn't a fire.